Okay, so let's talk about maximizing profits by leveraging email marketing. What are we going to cover in this session? We're going to talk about some technical principles for email marketers. We're going to talk about the new way of using autoresponders. We're going to talk about link matching. You'll find out what that is. Bridge paging. We're going to talk about testing. And those are all very important technical aspects that everyone needs to do. We're going to talk about signaling, and that's also very important to do. We're going to talk about how to use email marketing to increase your profits using marketing fundamentals. We'll talk about what those marketing fundamentals are with respect to email marketing, unique selling proposition, exponential marketing, strategic marketing, direct response marketing, educational marketing, and database marketing. We're going to put that last, obviously. And let's talk about the technical principles for email marketing, the technical principles for email marketers. Now, the rules from service to service, whether you're using Aweber, MailChimp, GetResponse, Constant Contact, they're going to vary. So they're all going to be basically the same, but different autoresponders are going to have different messages and different ways that they're going to allow you to do things. And their rules, at times, you're going to throttle your ability to send emails promoting specific products. In particular, as a third party, when you're being paid by commission. So you want to be keeping that in mind when you choose an autoresponder. If you're going to do affiliate marketing where you're going to do direct promotion, you've got to make sure you understand what that particular autoresponder's rules are when it comes to affiliate marketing. That doesn't mean they'll always enforce them. And it doesn't mean that when you send an email, they're going to send you an email saying, we're taking you off the service. But it does mean that if anything goes sideways, in some cases, you can be taken off their autoresponder without warning. And we're going to talk about this in this session, and we talked about it actually in the first course. You've got to be backing up your list all of the time because you agree to this when you sign up. Whatever contacts are in that autoresponder, if you violate their rules, your account can be shut down and they do not have to return those contacts to you. It's a really good practice, as was discussed in the first course, that you need to back up your autoresponder list every day, whether you have 5 names in there, whether you have 5,000 names in there, whether you have 50,000 names in there. You need to have a process every single day of backing up your list. That's first off. You need to understand this also. All of your emails are being scanned by larger companies like Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo before they hit the inbox, whatever that means. In some cases, that means they're scanning them to try to figure out what the content is so they can place them in a particular place. But those emails are being scanned. So whatever that means for how you communicate to your following, how you communicate to your subscribers, you need to have that awareness that those emails are being scanned, content, subject matter, and everything that's in it. And over time, these filters are going to become more sensible. And they're going to be more active in guarding inboxes for what they consider to be unsafe activity. So whatever you're doing, you want to err to the side of being conservative if you can. There's going to be little you can do to keep an autoresponder and about inboxes from doing these things. There are all kinds of ways at different points in time you can try to work around and get around spam filters. There are always going to be those things, but you're not going to be able to keep up with these companies. And I suggest that you do not try. Obviously, there are always going to be things that you're going to be putting in emails as a business owner that maybe these companies don't necessarily feel as if it's going to be safe. But you can still work around those things without belaboring and spending all of your time trying to figure out how to get around spam filters. We'll talk about some of those things in this session. We do want to talk about the technical things that you should be doing. These are going to be things that will help you, even though they will not prevent you from being placed in spam filters, prevent you from being placed in places where you don't want to be, that you find unsatisfactory and wanting to get your email and your message seen. If you do these things, they will increase your opportunities to be seen by the people that you want to communicate with. Let's talk about the new way of using autoresponders. If you don't hear anything else that we discuss in this session, you want to be aware of this. And we want to say this from the outset. The old way of using an autoresponder was that you're going to have at least 2 lists. You're going to have a customer list and a prospect list. That is the old way. Now, I'm not saying that what we're talking about in this session is so new and cutting edge. It isn't. But the old way, basically, of using an autoresponder is that you have a prospect list and that you have a customer list, and that when a person becomes your customer, you automatically remove that person from your prospect list. That is the old way of using an autoresponder. So you need to start thinking about, even if you still are doing that, and a lot of people are, the ways that autoresponders are being structured and all of the features in them, they don't support using an autoresponder in that way. They've become now more sophisticated in what they will allow you to do in terms of automation. That's a fact. Behaviors that your subscriber have, whether they occur on your site or whether they occur anyplace else on the web, you can set them up so that they trigger messages that you set up ahead of time. And it used to be very difficult to set up these automations. These are now very easy to set up, even with the most common autoresponders that you were probably using. You can also do this for certain segments of your subscriber list, and you can exclude other people. So in other words, you can send out a message that you only want to go to certain people, and at the same time, you can make sure that you exclude the people that maybe you want to make sure that they don't see that very same message. For example, maybe you have brand new customers that have come to you in the last 7 days, but you want to have a certain message that's going to be automated that goes to all of your customers when certain things happen. You can make sure that you exclude those people who have just joined your email marketing list. With the understanding how autoresponders work, you can make sure those people are going to be excluded. But you do want to understand these basics in order to do that. The most important aspect of all of this is that the new way of using an autoresponder is that you use fewer lists and you have many tags. So for every classification of person and everything that happens and every way you want to segment a person, you want to be in the mindset of trying to tag those individuals so that you will be able to use everything that an autoresponder has. The tags are what you need to use in order to set the different kinds of messages in motion. So don't think of this as having lots of different lists and you're going to take this list and you're going to email for them for this purpose. That's the old way. The new way is to make sure that you have the person tagged correctly inside of your autoresponder. You need to gravitate away from using one list for every kind of purpose. What you do want to do is you want to make sure, again, that you're using tags, because you may have found that when you have one list for one purpose and another list for another purpose, what you're doing is double counting. You can have the same people on different lists, and what you're doing is you're adding up your subscriber count when really you don't have a true subscriber count. You are double counting in different lists. What that does is that results in higher storage costs. Depending on how your provider charges you and depending on how large your list size is, you could be double counting yourself into a higher price bracket when really, if you just had one list and you were using tags, you'd have an appropriate size list and you'd have a better count of who is actually the person that's listening and watching the things that you say. This is always going to be impacted by the sales system you use and how reliably it's going to tag people and put them into your autoresponder company. So if you're using a sales system that tags people when they make a purchase, and then you can use that same tag on your autoresponder, that's going to give you an accurate sense of who's actually on your list and what they're actually doing with you as a business owner. I do want to say this. There are some affiliate networks that do not add tags for specific products when integrating with your autoresponder. That means that what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go back and do this part manually, and you're going to have to rely on connectors like Zapier. So you've got to make sure, and you might have to test the process to make sure that every new person that gets added to your list that buys something, that person is actually tagged with the right tag so that you can do the things inside your autoresponder you're going to be talking about here in this session. This is so important that it might impact the sales platform you choose to work with. So you may not want to launch and you may not want to have affiliates on a platform that doesn't tag your autoresponder subscribers properly if you have a choice. In some cases, if your affiliate will trust a network that tags your autoresponder subscribers appropriately, you might want to use that network and work with your affiliates in that way. You need to be able to answer the question. How do the tags pass on to the email service? You need to work through the process and go through it so that you see what happens. Which service does this reliably every single time? So if you've got 3 or 4 different kinds of emails, you need to go through the process with each one of those emails so that you see it happening reliably, so that when your customer makes a purchase, they are tagged in the sales system, and that sales system then passes that tag onto your autoresponder, and then inside your autoresponder, that tag exists as you place it in there. And so you've got to see this happen over and over again if you're going to use, again, this new way. Now, it might sound like this is a lot of complication, but you are going to get the most out of your autoresponder if you're using your tags in this way and if you're using your sales system in this way. If you choose to use an affiliate platform, does the tagging happen reliably? This is a very important thing for you to determine, because as of the recording of this session, one affiliate network, and we're not going to name them, that's currently in use, it does automate the process of adding a paying customer to your email service provider. So it does that correctly. That affiliate network passes the tag on to the provider. It does that correctly. But the network only does this for people new to your subscriber list. So if you have a person that's already on your subscriber list and that person buys something through that sales system, the affiliate network will not add the appropriate tag to that person. And so if you're going to use that system, you've actually got to go back and add the tag manually, or you've got to figure out another automated system. And this is an example of a problem when an automated workaround is going to have to be provided. But again, the benefit of having the individuals tagged correctly and using one list as opposed to 10 inside of your autoresponder, it trumps the simplicity of having 10 different lists. Let's talk about the technical process of link matching. This is not a technical term, and you're not going to be able to go to Google to find this term. This is a term that we've just done just for this session. When you add links to your email, whether they're going to send people to the site of another company, or you are going to be sending people to your website, what you want to try to do is you want to use the same domain in the links that you're providing as a sending domain. So if your sending domain is mysite.com, you want to make sure that the links you put in your email are all going to be mysite.com links by any means necessary. That's even if you're going to be using an affiliate link. That's going to be important. Now, again, that's not necessarily going to prevent you from being placed in a promotional tab or a spam filter. You do still want to make sure that if you're doing affiliate promotion, that you hide that affiliate link. And again, you're not trying to be surreptitious, you're not trying to fool anybody, but you do want to make sure that you're signaling that this is a domain under your control and that you're doing this as a legitimate business purpose. Every link in your emails should match your sending domain. So once again, if when you set up your autoresponder for a specific list, and again, you should only have one list, and the sending domain is mysite.com, every link in that autoresponder email should match that sending domain. Once again, that's not necessarily going to keep you out of a spam box. What it does is it increases the likelihood that your email is going to consider to be safe. And when something goes sideways and there's an investigation or someone's got to look at your email, they've got to analyze your patterns, you want to be seen as always having links that are going to be directed to the place that's going to be considered to be your website. So even if you're doing an affiliate promotion, hide that affiliate link behind your domain. Let's talk about bridge or bonus page linking specifically for affiliate links. Now, it's not always going to be convenient, and this is going to be a related topic to what we just talked about. You want to avoid sending people just to cloaked links. We just talked about the fact that what you're trying to do is, if you've got to use an affiliate link and you want that affiliate link to be naked, you want to hide it behind some kind of link that's going to be connected to your sending domain. In this segment, we're talking about going one step further. We're suggesting that you don't even really want to do cloaked links exclusively. Any rule on any platform, they're going to change over time as it pertains to affiliate marketing and any associated links. There will never be a prohibition against sending someone to your site. So you need to understand that. So it could be that your autoresponder company right now, they're okay with you sending people to a cloaked link. That could be okay. It may not always be okay. And more than likely, when it stops being okay, they're not going to shout it at you, and you're not going to hear about it, or you might be too busy. You might not even read the email that says this. So you want to make sure, again, that you err to the side of being conservative. And so if the link matches your sending domain, you are going to be protected against any investigations that are considered to be unsafe. But what you want to try to do is to make sure that it is a page that's not just a cloaked link, that it's an actual page on your site. And that's called bridge paging, or sometimes it's called bonus paging. So if you're going to do an affiliate link, now again, this may not necessarily be something that will increase your conversions as an affiliate, because in some cases, it actually slows down a buyer who wants to go to an affiliate link to see what it is you have to offer. That is understandable. This is a defensive strategy, but it's the kind of thing that if you can work with people so that they understand that this is just the way that you do business, and that you really are going to make it worth their while for having stopped at a bridge page to consider what you're going to be saying about that affiliate promotion, it's a safer way of doing business with your autoresponder. Now, this is not to say that you should always use a bridge page and that you're always going to be able to use a bridge page, but it is a safe defensive practice to send people to a page that you own and that you control when people click out of your autoresponder to a place that you send them. Again, if there's ever an investigation as to whether or not you're a safe marketer on a platform that, yes, you were paying for, but that at some point, they just may not feel as if your activity is going to be safe. You want to always be seen as someone sending people to your website. So start with this assumption when you start bringing people onto your email marketing list, that every time they click a link, they're going to go to a link that you control. If you start the relationship that way and you get people to understand that, and you work with people so that they understand that that's just the way you do business, over time, if you are earning an income as an affiliate, that affiliate earning will probably equal some of the work that you're doing that if you just sent them to a naked link all by itself over time. It may not equal at the very beginning because that's just what people are used to, but if you build a relationship that way, it may work to your advantage over time. Test your email and your email services. Also important. You can get an indication of how your email is going to behave in the inbox of some of the larger services by testing them. And this means that you're going to sign up for all the major services. So what does that mean? That means sign up for Gmail. That means to sign up for Hotmail. That means sign up for Yahoo. Every place where you can get a free email. AOL, if they still have them. All your domains. So if you've got 3 domains, get at least an email address on all these domains. Make sure you got an email that you can use for testing. And what are you going to do? You're going to send a different test to a different email every day before you send. Why are you going to do that? That's so that you're going to get a handle on what the spam filters see when your email goes out. Now, that doesn't always mean you need to go back and change it. It means you can change it if you need to. In some cases, you may not have time to go back and change the content. And we're going to talk about some of those things as we get into this. You don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time changing your content in order to outbox a spam filter. If an inbox considers you to be unsafe and they're going to put you in a spam filter, at some point, that may not be something you can do something about directly with technology, just so you'll know. But what you can do is you'll know what to expect. And you can know what to expect by sending your message to a different email every day and seeing how it interacts inside of an inbox. So all your emails, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, AOL, and any of your domains, all of your domains. And there's services where you can do this. There are quite a few of them these days. Just choose one. So you don't have to use 3 or 4 of them. and see which one works and see which one says what you wanted to hear or doesn't say what you wanted to hear. Just choose one so that you can benchmark. If you choose one and use the same one all the time, you'll be able to benchmark and choose the one that you feel is most effectively and then keep using that one. No one tool is going to be perfect, and they're not always going to tell you and give you the details that you want. That said, there's one called mail-tester.com. You can use that one. There's one that's called htmlcheck.com. These are just two, and they're not even the recommended ones. They're two that you can use. There are a number of them. If you go to your favorite search engine and you look for email test, or even if you take mailtester.com and you put in alternatives into your favorite search engine, you'll be able to see all of the tools that are going to be available. You're not going to use all of them every day. You're not going to even use all of them over time. You're going to pick one. So just be consistent about testing. So pick one method and test it. Pick one time a day. If you're going to test at 10 o'clock, test at 10 o'clock every day. If you're going to test at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock every day, do that every single day. So don't test at different times of the day with the same tool. Use the same tool, use the same part of the day, use a different email address every day. Now, if you were to use all of the available free email companies, and then you would use your own, you'd probably have at least one test you could do every day at a different place. So again, just be consistent in your testing, be consistent about the time, and then take action appropriately as you see it. Another technical aspect of all of this is signaling that you are a real person to those free email boxes. And there's no stated evidence that this is going to be the case, but if you can establish you're a real person, it's been said that this helps you in terms of getting your email read and being seen in an inbox. It's not necessarily a technical tip, but it involves how your emails and your domain are going to be evaluated. And so what you want to do is to try to write to people and get them to reply. And you want them to hit the reply button and then write back to you. And all this does is that establishes is that fact that there's some activity here. And it's not just that, hey, don't send me this. It's not that people are going to be angry, but that you really do have some activity where you're having some correspondence with people. And so you want to have open-ended questions and get people to reply at some point. Now, obviously, you can't do that all the time. You can't do that every day. That's not an efficient way of being able to run a business. But every so often, you want to have a question to have people to answer them. You want them to write you back, and you want to write them back and correspond with them. Now, it could be a good idea, if you can, that if you want to route that reply email to your support desk so that you always see it. The last thing you want to do is to have people writing you at an email address and you're not seeing it. So please, if you're going to do that and you're going to have people to reply to you, make sure that the email that they're sending to reroute to your support, and that it then creates a support request that you then must answer because you see it in your inbox. How does email marketing help you in achieving fundamental marketing objectives? And to do that, of course, we need to answer what are those classic marketing fundamentals. And we know that there are going to be 4, and that we want to exercise them at every situation, at the product level and at the brand level, and even when we're planning for long term. And whenever we decide to make purchases for our business and specifically for our marketing, we need to make sure that what we're buying or what we're doing covers or answers 4 basic questions. Is it helping us with our unique selling proposition? Does it help us to build residual or multiple sales for every customer? Does it help us to build our list? How can we build an effective network of strategic alliances? When we say strategic alliances, we mean partners and affiliates. If what we're doing helps us to do all of those things or even one of those things, it's probably a good thing to do as long as it works so that it fits into a system. And so if you can get these 4 things working in a system in general, you will be able to increase your marketing activity. That's why they are marketing fundamentals. And so before you start looking for a method and before you start looking for a loophole that works sometimes, or you've got to hurry up and make it work. Before you even choose a sales channel, decide on the fact that, do you have a unique selling proposition for your brand, for your product? Are you maximizing every customer that comes into you and buys from you? Are you building an effective list or database? And do you have and are you building a network of people that will promote for you? And are you building an effective network of people that you can partner with? If you are doing those things, you are almost certainly growing your business. If you're not doing those things, you can turn to any one of those 4 things to start growing your business almost instantly if you look at it as a fundamental. And even though this is not a marketing fundamental, you should be publishing. That is a sign of today's times. Also, if you can't be the only person in your market, you can't be the expert, you can't be the very best or the most knowledgeable, you can always become a source of reliable information by positioning yourself as an educator. Be the person that's always there to educate, always there to inform, and always there to enlighten and give people a different perspective. Information publishing basically means whether you're doing an information product or an ebook, podcast, you're selling yourself. Basically what you're doing is you're giving people your perspective. You're giving people something that comes from you. And that's what you're doing. And that's why it's so effective when you're doing it on a regular basis. And it transcends internet marketing because people have been doing information publishing ever since there has been publishing. So not only does it transcend the internet and social media, it really does, and it precedes every other kind of marketing that there has ever been. It's also part of a systematic and effective marketing campaign. And in fact, if you are a good information publisher and you are consistent in some area, you're going to unify all 4 of those things: USP, list building, upsells and cross-sells, and partnering. You're going to bring all those things together inside of information publishing. So we've got to be able to think about email and whether or not it helps us to attract or to accomplish these objectives. Does it help us to enhance our unique selling proposition? It does. Can it help us to increase our exponential marketing or our upsells and cross-sells? It can. Can it help us to enhance strategic alliances? It certainly does. Can it help us to build our customer list? And of course it does. And can it help us to be more effective as an information publisher? And you and I know that it does. So let's first talk about unique selling proposition and email marketing. Your emails are going to be an opportunity to enforce why a customer is doing business with you. And that's what a unique selling proposition is. It's basically saying that you've got something that a customer can only get from you. They must come to you to get this one thing or this way of doing business or this way of presenting an issue. And so you've got to have that unique selling proposition in everything you do. And in an email, you basically get to teach and train people about what your uniqueness does for them every single day if you choose to. When you write in an email, you should not only be selling. What you should also be doing, whether it is direct or indirect, is you should be telling people what you're hearing right now is unique and can only be found where I'm saying it. That's what your email should basically say. It should reinforce your unique selling proposition. It really is not enough to have a relationship with them. That's not going to be enough in order for you to get people to buy from you. In order to get your relationship to be profitable over time, you've got to make sure your customers know that you are the only person from where they can get certain things. You've got to reemphasize that over and over and over again in every email that you send. And this is not technical. So this part of what we're talking about is not a technical strategy. It is strategic. But you can't really do anything else effectively unless you're doing that. It's fine to have a good relationship and people will open your emails because they like you, because they know you and they trust you. That's great. However, you still have to give them something unique that they can't get from elsewhere that will benefit them and that concerns them. And that is really the bridge and the gap that you've got to make sure you climb over in everything that you're writing and everything that you send. Exponential marketing and email marketing. Now, when you set up your automation in an email for after purchase contact, Basically what you're saying is, if a person buys a product, you want your sales system to add that person to your autoresponder company. Now, if you're not using a sales system that does that, you want to consider using another sales system, even if you have to use an affiliate network to make your sales. If your sales system doesn't put someone onto your list when they make a purchase, whether you choose to do double opt-in or single opt-in, you've got to find another sales system. And most sales systems will do that. Most sales systems that you pay for are going to do that. But if it doesn't, you've got to really think seriously about which one that you're going to be using. And you want to make sure that your customer at that point, because again, think about this. If someone's made a purchase through your sales system and they're about to get an email from you, you've got to give them the opportunity to purchase things that are directly relevant to what they just bought, directly. And you can't count on the fact that they're going to go to your thank you page right away. You can't count on the fact that they're going to see your redirect link or all of that fancy stuff. But if you're going to see to it that they get an email from you, that may be your first and last and only time that that customer will ever hear from you again. And so you've got to make sure you've got a call to action in there. They could have missed any vertical funnel opportunity. So maybe they purchased something, and if they went through a traditional funnel where they see an offer right after that, they could have missed that. There are lots of people who have things like pop-up blockers and all kinds of things that they don't see those offers. And they get an email from you. And yes, you do want to welcome them and you want to make sure they know where they can go log in and get everything. But understand something. That could be the only time you ever hear from them again. And so you got to assume they don't know about your vertical funnel. You've got to assume they don't know that you have related products and that they're not going to find out. If you don't assume that, you're not going to talk about it. But you got to assume they don't know you've got related products. You've got to assume they don't know you've got a developmental path planned for them. So maybe you've got something that will work for them if they choose to go further with you and that you can help them develop. Well, you've got to assume they don't know about that. Because if you don't, you're not going to put the right things in there in order to make sure that they see those offers. So you've got to ask for the sale. And that's really what your email is for. This is an email marketing list, even though you're building a business relationship. And you've got to be consistent in doing that. You've got to show them all of the offers in your funnel by your email. And I'm saying that you've got to put them all in that first email and to basically overload them with a bunch of links. That's not what I'm saying. And that might not even hit their inbox anyway. But you've got to make sure they see them all if they're going to be opening your emails. And if you do this consistently, it's not guaranteed you're going to make more, but you will almost certainly have the opportunity to earn more. And so you've got to also, as you start this business relationship, when you're welcoming people into your world, you've got to establish that you're going to be sending them offers. Because really, if what you're trying to do is you're trying to wait until a certain period of time or a magic, some people used to say 2 weeks, if you're trying to wait that long, sometimes people take that as disinterest. And if you wait too long, then you'll never establish the fact that you're doing this as part of your business and you want them to buy more things. In fact, what you're trying to say to people is, I've got other things that'll be really helpful to you if you continue to open my emails. You've got to establish that expectation. You've got to establish that understanding. If you wait and you start keeping people on your list, what you're basically doing is you're inflating the number of people who are going to be on your list, and these people aren't going to buy anything from you anyway. And so you've got an expectation that, hey, I've got, let's say, 10,000 people on my list, but you're not really talking to them, and you're not asking them to purchase anything. And so the only reason to have an email list is going to be for you to be in business. And if you're not asking these people to buy anything, that's not going to help you. So what you've got to do is you've got to establish from the very beginning, I'm going to be sending you things that I think will benefit you. Here's one. And sometimes people are going to say, you know what, that I'm out. I want no part of that. You know, I get enough emails all the time. I can't have any other people sending me emails asking me to buy things. Well, that's fine. You know what? Because eventually that person's going to get to maybe they're going to get to the 2-week point, and then they find out you're going to be asking them to buy something 2 weeks later. They're going to still get off of your list anyway. So don't delay. I'm not saying that you've got to do it all from the very beginning, but you need to establish that relationship with them from the very beginning. Let's talk about strategic marketing alliances and email marketing. When you get to be effective in sending emails to a list of subscribers, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trading promotions with people that you don't compete with. And what you're basically doing with affiliate marketing, now affiliate marketing is not just making cash, right? That's not all it is. It's also establishing relationships with other people in your market that can partner with you and that can do the very same thing for you. And so, yes, you want to make sure that you understand that when you send an affiliate promotion, that it must benefit the people. This is not carte blanche for you to go into this and say, well, I'm just going to find all kinds of affiliate offers and I'm going to send it and this is going to be magic. I'm going to send it to this list and I'm going to make all this money. That's not the way to think about this. This is a way that you're going to build relationships with other people, but you've got to be very, I'm going to say, strategic about the person that you choose to do this with. A sales commission makes this profitable. What you can do is you can also just mail an opt-in page. So in other words, it's not always going to be that you're going to send an offer. Sometimes what you're going to do is when you really think somebody else is going to be benefited by another person who's a non-competitor, you might just send their opt-in page. And they might be willing to do the very same thing for you. Of course, yes, you can do this many times as you want. Like I was saying, the true benefit of this is that your customer list and your subscriber base expands without sending additional funds on advertising. The less beneficial part is that you're going to need to send your customer to another vendor. That's the other part to this that does not necessarily all that great. And when you do this, there's always going to be some subscribers that won't necessarily like or appreciate being shown the offers of another vendor. That's always going to happen. And they might also not like being added to another person's subscriber list. That might also be the case. That means that although you can do this as many times as you want, you've got to be judicious. You've got to be very smart, and you've got to basically lean to the side of, hey, I'm only going to send people to other people that I know are really going to benefit them. And you've got to treat your subscriber list as you would treat yourself. So if you wouldn't do business with this person that you're sending them to, if you wouldn't buy what you're sending them to buy, please don't send your subscribers to that person. If what they're selling, even though you will establish a relationship, let's say with a big partner, and they're going to come and they've got affiliate prizes and they're going to bring you into their inner circle and they're going to say all kinds of wonderful things about you on social media, you do not sacrifice your subscribers for that. So don't do it just because you're going to get all this nice stuff, you're going to get prestige, and you're going to get this relationship. That's the wrong reason to do this. You only do this if that relationship benefits your subscribers. And quite frankly, there are going to be times when you're going to be asked by a potential partner to send an email on their behalf when maybe you did one, let's say, last year, and they come back to you this year and they've got something new, but it doesn't benefit your subscribers. Don't send it. So just because someone had something 2 months ago, and just because they sent an email on your behalf, doesn't mean you have to send an email today on their behalf if it doesn't benefit your subscribers. Say no. Because at the end of the day, it's really going to be about the business relationship you establish with the people that are going to be your buyers, and they're going to be the people that you want them to buy things over and over from you. So you want to make sure you treat them the right way. Let's talk about direct response. The same elements that are going to be present in direct response are going to be present in your emails. And you've got to write an effective headline to get the customer to open your email. So the most important thing is going to be that you're going to have a headline that's going to get them to open. Now, it's important to say this. Don't go swiping effective headlines in order to get people to open your email. You might be able to use that kind of stuff once or twice, and it'll work every so often, but don't make that a habit. It's not a good long-term strategy. Once again, think about this. You are establishing a long-term business relationship. And so if every time someone sees you come through the door and you've got some kind of hypey suggestion, people are going to get tired of that. They don't want to have a relationship with you. Again, you're trying to establish a long-term business relationship with somebody. Don't be a person that tries all these classic headlines every single day. What you want to do is you've got to think through the same psychological triggers in the sales process, but at the same time, though, you've got to communicate like a human being, and you've got to know what you're selling, and you've got to know the people that are going to be opening it. More important than trying to use a swipe that you think is going to be effective and works is knowing the product and knowing your people. And if you know those two things will trump having a can't miss subject line. Educational marketing. You want to create some kind of call to action in most, if not all, of your emails. And what your job is in an email is to keep your subscribers engaged. Your job is to keep them engaged. You got to keep them opening and reading your emails. That means that you need to be providing them with something that makes their lives better every day. If you email every day, everything you sent, everything should have something in it that's going to make their lives better. Something. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to write a long love letter. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is something in there should be beneficial to them. And in some cases, it's going to mean entertaining them, making them laugh. In some cases, you want to inspire them, right? You want to get them to do better things and higher things. But in general, what you're going to be showing them how to do something, showing them how to overcome something. Every single time you send an email, it should be something that makes them better, makes their lives better. That's the bar. Of course, yes, you're going to be asking for the sale. But every single time you send an email, something in there should better people's lives. And if you're an information marketer, of course, please don't write your whole product and put it in your emails. That's not the idea. So don't teach everything that you should be teaching inside of your information product. You can't teach it all in the email anyway. You can't show them everything they need to know. They need to buy your product anyway. So don't put everything in an email over time. What you should be doing, though, is how to look at their problems. So you got to show that, yes, you understand what their problem is. You got to show them how they should be looking at them, but you shouldn't be solving them in an email. So don't tell them how to solve their problem. Tell them how to look at them. Tell them how they should be viewing the problem. Tell them how they should be framing the problem. Tell them that you understand the problem, and you should. Right? So I'm not saying fake that you understand their problem. You should understand them. But you got to teach them people how to look at them. And of course, you should know how to solve a certain kind of problem. But whatever problem you have decided you're going to educate people on, you should be teaching people how to look at those problems. This is the kind of education that customers are going to use to determine if what you're selling will benefit them. That's how they do it. That's how you do it. Database marketing or email marketing. Of course, we left that to last. When an individual signs up for your email list, you should be taking them through an onboarding or some kind of indoctrination. So yes, establish that you're going to be asking them to buy things, but you do want to take them through a welcome sequence that tells them about what they're about to experience on your email list. Now, this series should introduce them to the benefits you're going to be giving them and that you got for them. Now, this is the only time in this business relationship that you're going to keep your call to actions to a minimum. This is the only time, the indoctrination series. You still want to establish from the very beginning, you're going to be asking them to buy things. But this is the only time this indoctrination series. And so various people do this for various lengths of times. You may have heard experts that talk about whatever you're doing in general, 5 days on the long side. So anything longer than 5 days, you're probably getting long. Any day that's shorter than 3 days might be a little short. What you're basically doing is you're getting people ready to understand how they can benefit from what you have to offer. That's the purpose of an indoctrination. You want to show them where all of your training is. Tell them where they can get all of your free things that are going to show them how to benefit from your product. Show them where all that stuff is. And take a couple of days and do that. So they know that, yeah, you're going to be asking them to buy things, but you also want them to know where everything is and how to benefit. The relationship you build is going to trump trying to figure out how to get around spam filters. That's the number one thing. So you've got to establish a buying relationship with people, and you've got to get them basically to be looking for your message. And that's not going to be easy to do, but you do have to do it. So yes, you're working to establish that you care and that you are looking out for them. All that's important. But as we talked about with your USP, what you're establishing in every single email is you got a specific thing that you can bring to people, and that you're going to base your relationship on that thing, whatever that is. And if you do that consistently, you're going to be able to get around whatever technical problems you have. If you end up in the spam filter, or if you end up in the promotions tab, whatever that is, you're not going to be able to get around those things. Here's what you have to do. And here's the challenge for an information marketer who sends email, who markets this way. You are working toward building the kind of business relationship where someone's going to be willing to basically whitelist your email or get it out of the spam filter. That's what you got to do. You got to establish that kind of relationship. So it's been 2 or 3 days, they haven't sent an email from you. Now, this is a goal. Now, you're not going to be able to do this right from the very beginning, and it takes time to be able to do this. But you've got to be able to do this to the point where, first of all, you've got a unique selling proposition. You stand out. So you got to stand out over all those other emails. If everybody else is going to the spam filter and you're going there with them, what do you have so that when people go and they look at that and they think, oh, well, I got to get this one out of there, or I've got to look for this one, there's no science on how to do that. But that is what you have to do. You got to stand out enough so that people are looking for what it is you say. And so work toward that. Make that your goal in the business relationship, so that when you actually make a recommendation or you ask people to buy things, not only will you get seen by them, but you will also be taken seriously about whatever recommendations you are making.